Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. So if you're here, you're probably at a crossroads and thinking if you should study full-time or part-time. Well, finances are definitely a consideration, but more importantly, I bet you're thinking, can I cope with focusing on studying and working at the same time? Well, so guess what? If you would like to know how I made my decision and how I'm coping with studying full time, then stay tuned and keep watching. So here are 5 reasons why I took a year off work to study full time. Reason 1. Doing part-time meant that I would have to stretch the whole master's program for 2 years instead of 1 year. And this meant that I would have to use all the 18 days of my leave to do my assignments as well as study for my exams. And, between stress from school and stress from work, I'm going to want to need those days to actually go for a holiday. So a little bit about myself. So I am currently doing a coursework program for a master's in Southeast Asian Studies for a year. Deciding between 2 years of master's or 1 year of master's doesn't seem very difficult at first, but there are many other considerations, which brings us to reason 2, my age. As I am now 30, I didn't want to spend 2 years of my life studying. Right? I had other plans to do and I wanted to do as much as I can in 1 year and then move on to do the rest of the things I want to do, such as maybe moving up in my job, getting a job overseas, getting married and having kids. Well, I'm sure some of you might be thinking, you can do all that. You can, work, study, have kids, get married. Yes, but I don't want to be spending my time planning for wedding while I'm studying for my exams or, trying to juggle too many things at a time and not giving my best for everything. And I think also being pregnant while you're doing your studies, while it's possible, and I really admire people who do it, but I don't want to have a situation where I'd have to defer my studies because of some pregnancy complications. So therefore, that 2 years has been condensed to 1 year. So reason 3. Now reason 3 is focus. And focus is actually the most important thing, isn't it? Can you focus on your studies if you're working at the same time? Well, for some people, their work is quite manageable. They've got really understanding bosses who allow them to leave work a bit early to go to school, while some don't really. They expect you to stay back later than necessary, and so, or they would expect you to go home and continue working after coming back from school. So it really depends on your boss. But really, depending also on the course that you're taking. So for me, doing a master's that is in the humanities and social sciences, it is actually really, really difficult to have the time to do all the readings. So I have an average of about 3 readings. So these readings can be in the form of a journal or the form of a book. And I mean, we're talking about like this thick kind of books, and you need to read that three of those per module. And if you have 5 modules like me, that's 15 in a week, and really coping with that is really difficult. Over the last few months, I realized that although I was a full-time student, I couldn't cope. There were days when I was just swamped with readings, and I just don't know how people who were on part-time could manage to do this. Like, it takes me 2 hours to do 1 journal article and about half a day to read a book. So, you don't want to just skim something, because although there's no examinations, the whole point of the masters is so that you can gain knowledge and also some sort of critical thinking, and you don't want to waste the money that you've spent, right? Sorry, I've got a cat at the door. Hello. Hello, wait a minute, say hi. Hi. She's well, oh, you alright, sweetie? All right, so where was I? All right, so I think we can now move on to reason 4. So reason 4 is the desire to progress. So I will make another video about my journey as a librarian, but at the moment I am looking to move up in my career. I'm 30 and I've done what I want in my job as a librarian. And even though I was moved into a position as a research in future trends, I still felt that my passion was studying the past. So perhaps in another video I will show you one of my passions, which is the study of the cuirass. So I study and I collect cuirasses. So cuirasses are a kind of ancient blade that is found in the Malay archipelago. And well, if you're interested in ancient weapons, do stay tuned and watch out for that video. Well, in case you're wondering what this is next to me, this is actually a Burmese harp, also known as a saung. So there we go. It's not tuned at all, isn't it? Well, if you know anybody who knows how to tune a saung, you know, I'd be really happy to meet them. If they can help me to you know, teach me how to tighten the knots. Because at the moment, you know, I bought this at an antique store. It's actually a smaller version of the bigger Burmese harp. So perhaps in another video you might notice the harp next to me, and we'll have a conversation about that as well. Yes, so I love collecting items. As I travel around Southeast Asia, I pick up certain things that I find really unique. Sometimes they are things that people don't notice. It can be small figurines, small toys. So that's probably more content for future videos. Right, and for reason 5. Now, this reason might seem not very important, but it is quite important. It is money. So I have to admit, before I started my master's on a full-time basis, I was spending a lot. Like I'd earn maybe about, I'd have enough money to spend about 3,000 a month, and I would spend nearly all of it. And now I only have 1,000 a month to spend, and this includes rent, bills, household expenditure, you know, like groceries and toiletries and all that. And I also have to pay for transport, food, printing, and well, you name it, as a student. So really, 1,000 isn't enough, but I have managed to do that. And if you're interested to find out on how I manage my finances as a full-time master's student, please do check out the video when it's out. Right, so the difference between a full-time and a part-time master's is actually just $500, right? And I didn't think that for $500 of saving, it's kind of not worth it to take an extra year. So therefore I decided to just spend that 9,500 or 10,000 and just stick with that and complete my master's in 1 year. So I will graduate next year in July. And if you're still watching this video, stay tuned.